შეიძლება ქართულ ჭიდაობას გვეხმარება თუ არა ის ძიუდოში ვიტყოდი რომ გვეხმარება, იმიტომ რომ თითქმის ყველა ქართველს, ყველა ძიუდოის აქვს ქართული ჭიდაობა, ნიჭიდაობები ისევე როგორც ავთოს, ასევე მეც. იყო ხშირად შეჯიბრები, როდესაც დავდიოდით ხოლმე ჩვენ რაიონებში და ხშირად ვიწევდა ქართული ჭიდაობა. ქართული ჭიდაობის ასპარეზობა, რაც ვფიქრობ, რომ ძალიან გვეხმარება იმ ყველაფრის მერე მით უმეტეს რაც ძიუდოში წესები შეიცვალა. მოგიხსენებათ ფეხში შესვლა აღარ არის და თითქმის 90% დაემსგავსა ქართულ ჭიდაობას. აქედან გამომდინარე ვიტყოდი რომ გვეხმარება და ძალიან დიდი წინგადადგმული ნაბიჯია ჩვენი მხრიდან თუ მღებულობდით მონაწილეობას ესე რომ ვთქვათ ქართულ ჭიდაობაში შეჯიბრებებში და ეს ჩვენ ძალიან გვეხმარება.
Hi, this is Shadi and today it's gonna be Judo versus Kartuli Chidaoba, Georgian folk style wrestling. The Georgians are some of the strongest people on the planet and some of the strongest in judo as well. And today we will see why this style of wrestling truly shines in judo. We're gonna be discussing history and the techniques, the gripping and the terminology, and see why this style of wrestling is truly amazing and why it can easily find its way into judo. So according to the UNESCO, this style of wrestling was practiced until the end of the medieval period as a form of military training, much like every style of wrestling around the world. And after that it became a cultural and athletic practice for the Georgian people. So the wrestlers wear what is called the chokha, which is the wrestling gear. Before, obviously, as you can see, it was more of the traditional clothing of the Georgian people. After that it became the red versus blue sleeveless jacket with the shoes, obviously evolving to fit athletic needs. But before that, here as you can see from the pictures, it resembled more the traditional wear of the Georgians. So the fighters come in, you have someone playing an air instrument, it's called the zurna, and another one playing the drum called the doli. The goal is to put someone on the ground, very similar to an ippon. So let's compare some throws. The uchimata is called the amos muli. Now you don't have a sleeve grip, obviously, so you either have to resort to a grip down the back and a lapel grip parallel, or double lapel grip, and you can easily go from there. So you can do it from mawari komi, like a spin out uchimata or a simple uchimata, but the uchimata is called amos muli. Here is a great example of it. And now the ogoshi is called the mogwerdi, which means hips. Whether it's tsurigoshi, ogoshi, ukigoshi, it's all called, I believe, mogwerdi. The Georgians are very good at it. Gviniashvili in particular, you can see many examples, and also Papinashvili, but here you can see in the Georgian style you can grip around the back. There's no need for the sleeve, you can easily grip the wrist and perform it. So like I mentioned, whether it is ogoshi or ukigoshi or tsurigoshi, which means you have a grip on the belt, all of it is mogwerdi, which means hips, much like ogoshi, major hips. It's a koshiwaza. Now the next one is the seoinage. Now the drop seoinage is actually called shakhstomili, while the standing is called kisruli. Kisruli comes from the word kiseri, which means neck, so the standing is kisruli while the drop is shakhstomili. Whether it's, same side, eri seoinage or morote seoinage or ippon seoinage, it's all kisruli. Obviously there's no sleeve grip like in judo because lack of the sleeve in the chokha, but everything other than that is the mechanics is seoinage. The next one is of course the great uranage. It's called bruni. Now what I like about the Georgian uranage is how they align their feet and shoot up the one that is in front. Chirkishvili here is performing a great example of this, and notice how he has his grips down the back and the lapel which can easily translate into the Georgian jacket because of the lack of the sleeves. So here you can see he aligns his legs, gets behind his opponent, and then shoots his leg up to help with the lift, and of course arching his back, sacrificing himself backwards. Truly sensational and sublime, and you can easily see why they are very known for it, the Bruni or the Uranage. Now the Japanese one is somewhat different. You have this squatting down, the Jigotai defensive stance, and then exploding with the hips upwards and sacrificing yourself backwards. Not much arch in the back like the Georgian Uranage and the shooting of the leg upwards. The next one is the Makikomi, whether it is Soto Makikomi or O Soto Makikomi. It is called Gadavlebuli. Thank God for Georgian friends. They're very known for it on the IJF circuit. Again, whether it's Soto Makikomi, as you see here, there's no use of the leg. You grip an overhook. Now, you can see why a Georgian grip or the Georgian arm makes so much sense, because you can put it cross-side and then you have an easy access for the arm, and you can do a Gadavlebuli or a Makikomi rather easily. Or it can be here from an O Soto Makikomi, hooking with the leg, as in going for O Soto Gari. You can go front or backwards. It would be also considered O Soto Makikomi. Now, again, this would explain why the Georgian arm is a very logical thing to do. You have a grip on the wrist and a cross grip down the back, which will give you easy access to a Makikomi. And finally, last but not least, the Cabarelli or the Georgian pickup. We also call it front Uchimata, front Uranage. In sumo, it's called Iyagura Nage. You can see here the big pickup with the leg between the opponent's leg, and notice the grip down the back and the lapel, like the Georgian jacket. Chirkishvili is a great example of the transition of Georgian wrestling into judo. Here's a IJF example of it. A grip down the back, simply gripping and lifting upwards and going down for the ippon. So this style of wrestling, as you can see, it has a lot with judo, as they mentioned in the beginning of the video. With the removal of the leg grabs, it has become 90% judo. So I'll leave in the pinned comment the techniques and their judo names as well, and also a link in the description below for the UNESCO article and the Superstar Judo, where I got all this footage. So if you have anything else to add, please let me know down below. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. I have exclusive content for the patrons only. I post there once a week. And of course, don't forget to check out Josh Simon's shop in the description. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.